Sometimes, the hardest truth is not the one we cannot see, but the one we are too afraid to admit. For Michael Carter, the truth had been standing beside him for years. It had 4 paws, gentle brown eyes, and a habit of looking at him whenever he lied to himself. Michael lived in a small apartment above a busy avenue in Chicago, where trains, buses, sirens, and footsteps filled every hour. He worked as a maintenance supervisor in a large downtown office building and was known as a quiet, dependable man. At least, that was what everyone believed. Buddy knew better. Buddy was a medium-sized brown Labrador mix Michael had rescued from a Chicago station years earlier. Michael had found him trembling near a vending machine during a rainy night. Since then, Buddy had followed him everywhere. He slept beside the apartment door, waited for Michael after work, and seemed to understand every emotion Michael tried to hide. One Monday morning, Michael received a notice from his manager. A serious safety problem had been discovered in the building's old electrical system. Several wires behind the walls were damaged, and repairs were urgently needed. Michael had discovered the problem 2 weeks earlier. He had reported it once, but his manager told him the repair would be expensive and asked him to keep the issue quiet until the next inspection. "Nobody has been hurt," the manager said. "Don't make trouble." Michael wanted to argue, but fear stopped him. He needed his job. His rent was high, his savings were almost gone, and his younger sister depended on him for help with college expenses. So Michael signed the inspection report. Everything is under control. That night, he returned home exhausted. Buddy greeted him at the door, but instead of smiling, Michael dropped his keys and sat silently on the floor. "You wouldn't understand," he whispered. Buddy walked closer and rested his head on Michael's knee. Michael looked away. The next day, a small electrical fire started on the 6th floor. Smoke filled the hallway. People screamed and rushed toward the stairs. Michael ran into the building with the emergency crew and helped evacuate families from the upper floors. Then he heard a child crying. A little girl was trapped inside an apartment where smoke had already entered the room. Michael forced the door open and carried her outside. The fire was contained before anyone died, but several people were injured, and the building suffered heavy damage. When investigators arrived, they discovered the damaged wiring. They also found Michael's signed report. He knew exactly what would happen. His manager called him into the office. "You saw the problem," the man said quietly. Michael stared at the floor. "Yes. You could lose your job if you admit it." Michael's hands trembled. For a moment, he thought about lying again. Then he remembered Buddy. That evening, Michael returned home and found his dog sitting beside the window. Buddy looked at him without barking, almost as if asking the question Michael had avoided for years. "What kind of man are you when telling the truth costs you something?" Michael sat beside him and finally cried. "I was afraid," he whispered. "But being afraid doesn't make what I did right." The following morning, Michael went back to the building. He told the investigators everything. He explained when he first discovered the wiring problem, what his manager had told him, and why he had signed the report anyway. His confession did not save his job. He was suspended, and later he faced legal consequences for failing to report the danger properly. His manager was also investigated for pressuring employees to hide the problem. For months, Michael struggled. Some neighbors called him a coward because he had stayed silent when people needed him to speak. Others called him brave for finally admitting what he had done. Michael knew the truth was more complicated. He had been a coward before. But he did not have to remain one. After the case ended, Michael found work with a smaller company that valued safety and honesty. His first paycheck was modest, but when he came home that evening, he placed his hand on Buddy's head. "I lost a lot because I was afraid to tell the truth," he said. "But I almost lost something worse." Buddy wagged his tail. Michael smiled. For the first time in years, he no longer needed to pretend he was a good man. He was learning how to become one. Buddy stayed beside him through every difficult day, reminding Michael that truth can hurt, but lies can hurt even more. Sometimes, the truth may break our pride, but hiding it can break the lives of those who trusted us more deeply than we ever imagined. Courage is not the absence of fear. True courage begins when we are afraid, yet choose to face the truth, accept our mistakes, and make things right. If telling the truth could cost you your job, your reputation, or something you deeply value, would you still have the courage to speak?